Would you believe that all these gorgeous Christmas gifts started right here with frozen fruit from my garden? Today I'm going to show you my secret on how to turn humble plums and grapes into gourmet jams and chutneys that everyone on your gift list is going to adore. It's my absolute favourite way to give a little bit of my home away for the holidays, and it's a lot easier than you think. There's just nothing better than old-fashioned holiday gift giving, and these jars are like a warm hug from my kitchen to yours. We're making two incredible recipes today. A richly spiced plum chutney that's great with cheese, and a simple vibrant grape jam that'll make your toast feel like a total luxury. So stick with me and let's turn these frozen treasures into the perfect Christmas gift. For me, the very best gifts always have a story. The story of these little jars began on a warm summer's day out in my garden. Every single year I'm blessed with way more plums and grapes than we could possibly eat fresh. So what do? I freeze them. I just pop them into bags, toss them into the deep freeze, and they sit there like little frozen jewels just waiting for a purpose. And that purpose is Christmas. There is something truly special about reaching into the freezer in the dead of winter and pulling out all the sunshine and warmth of the summer. It honestly feels like a little bit of magic, and turning that fruit into something delicious and beautiful to give away. It's a tradition that I absolutely cherish. It's more than just a gift. It's a way of sharing the abundance of the garden and sharing a memory. It's slow, it's intentional, and it's made with love. In a world full of fast-paced, last-minute shopping, this just feels real. It connects us to the seasons, to our food, and to the people we care about. And that's the real reason behind these gifts. It's about bottling up a little bit of that love and giving it away. All right, before we jump into our preserving adventure, let's talk about what you'll need. It's all very simple, I promise. For our two recipes, the stars of the show are of course the frozen fruit. I've got bags of frozen plums that I've halved and then frozen, and a couple of bags of seeded grapes. They're a dessert variety. And here's a little secret. Using frozen fruit is a fantastic shortcut. The freezing process has already started breaking down the fruit, which means it'll cook down into a beautiful soft consistency even faster. For our spiced plum chutney, you're going to need about 1 kilogram or 2¼ pound of plums, some cooking apples, some finely chopped red onions, some apple cider vinegar for that critical tangy flavour, raisins, salt, brown sugar, which gives it a lovely deep caramel taste, and some spices. Allspice, cinnamon and coriander, some chilli flakes, possibly some fennel seeds. For our simple grape jam, it's even easier. We're just going to need some frozen grapes, some granulated sugar, and the juice of 1 lemon. The lemon juice is key, not just for brightness, but because its natural pectin is what helps the jam set up perfectly. As for the equipment, the most important thing is a large heavy-based saucepan or a preserving pan. A heavy base is going to spread the heat evenly and keep the sugar from catching and burning on the bottom. You'll also want a spoon, a ladle or jug, and your clean glass jars with lids. I've been saving nice jars all year just for this, and that's it. We're ready to go. We're going to kick things off with the chutney, since it needs a little more time to simmer, and let all those beautiful flavours get to know each other. This is the recipe that will fill your whole house with the most incredible festive smell. So we're going to put our halved plums, making sure there's no stones. We're going to core and peel our cooking apples into bite-sized pieces, and finely dice our onions. We're going to pop all those ingredients into our pan and bring them slowly to the boil, stirring to dissolve the sugar. Then we're going to simmer it gently for 1½ to 2 hours. We need to make sure we're stirring frequently though, to make sure that the chutney doesn't burn. It should look thick and glossy. You can also check for seasoning at this point and see if you want any more salt. And now for the magic part. We wait. We're going to let this simmer away for 1.5 to 2 hours. Over this time, you'll watch it completely transform. The plums will break down, the liquid will reduce, and the whole mixture will become thick and dark and glossy. You will want to give it a stir now and again, especially as it gets thicker, so that it doesn't stick to the bottom. You'll know it's ready when you can drag your spoon across the bottom of the pan and it will leave a clean trail for a second or two before the chutney slowly oozes back in. It's a classic test that works every time. Once it's there, take it off the heat and we're one step closer to our perfect gift. If you're enjoying these cosy kitchen vibes and feeling inspired to make your own homemade gifts this year, I'd be so grateful if you'd subscribe to the channel. I share new videos every week, full of ideas from my garden and kitchen. Let me know in the comments if you made a jam or chutney before. While the chutney is cooling down a bit, let's get started on our simple grape jam. This recipe is wonderfully quick and the colour is just out of this world. Into a clean, heavy-bottomed pan, add your frozen grapes. You can use them straight from the freezer. We'll also add our lemon juice. Turn the heat onto medium and start stirring. As the pan warms up, the grapes will thaw and release their juices. Once that's happened, you can add the sugar and that will begin to dissolve in the heat. You can help them along by gently pressing them with the back of your spoon or even a potato masher if you wish. Once the mixture comes to a rolling boil, and by that I mean a boil that you can't stir down, you're going to start timing it. This is where we tackle that common fear. Will my jam actually set? The secret is a good hard boil. We'll boil it for about 10 to 15 minutes, stirring pretty often so it doesn't scorch. To test it's ready, we'll use the cold plate method. Before you even start, pop a couple of plates, either in the fridge or the freezer, somewhere cold. When you think the jam is ready, take the pan off the heat and put a small spoonful of jam on the cold plate. You can put it back in the fridge if you like, to speed it up. When you give it a push with your finger, if the surface wrinkles up, your jam is ready. It's hit its setting point. If it's still runny, just put the pan back on the heat and boil for another few minutes before you test it again. And keep going until you get the set. It's a totally foolproof method. Alright, our chutney is thick and luscious and our jam has reached a perfect set. Now for the final super important step before packaging, bottling it all up. This means sterilising your jars, and please don't let this part intimidate you. It's not as scary as it sounds, I promise. Proper sterilisation is what makes your preserves safe and shelf stable, which is exactly what we want for gift giving, along with either the sugar or the vinegar. There are a few easy ways to do this, but my favourite is the oven method. Just wash your jars and lids in hot soapy water and rinse them well. But don't dry them. Place the jars upright and pop them in a preheated oven at about 275 Fahrenheit or 140 degrees C for about 15 minutes. Sometimes it's a bit more if you're busy. The jars need to be hot when you fill them up with the jam or the chutney. This stops the glass from cracking from the sudden temperature change. Now carefully take your hot jars out of the oven. I like to use a jam funnel for this next part. It's really good for getting the preserves into the jars without making a huge mess. And believe me, I can make a huge mess. Ladle the hot chutney and the jam into the hot jars, leaving a small space at the top. Wipe the rims of the jars with a clean damp cloth to make sure there's no sticky residue. I often use a bit of vinegar on a cloth, because that can stop them from sealing properly if it's sticky. Then screw on the lids while everything's still hot. As the jars cool, you'll hear a satisfying little pop sound, and that's the sound of the lid sealing, creating a vacuum that will preserve your beautiful creation for months. For extra peace of mind, you can also process the jars in a boiling water bath, but being as I'm doing the English method, I shan't be doing that today. There is plenty of sugar and plenty of vinegar to make sure that they're preserved well. Now for my favourite part, turning these delicious preserves into a truly stunning gift. This is where we add the final layer of love and care. You don't need to be a crafting expert or spend a ton of money to make these jars look beautiful. I love simple materials that I already have around the house. A circle of paper or festive fabric over the lid instantly adds a rustic homemade charm. I just cut a circle that's an inch or two wider than the lid and place it on top and tie it with some twine or a pretty ribbon. If you're worried about getting a circle, you can always use a plate and draw around it. Next is the label. This is where you get to tell the gift's story. I use simple cardstock tags or stickers. On one side, I write what's inside: spiced plum chutney or garden grape jam. On the other side, I like to add a personal touch, like a note of how it was made from my garden plums or a serving suggestion. For example, the chutney, I might suggest pairing it with sharp cheddar. For the jam, I'll say it's perfect on scones or swirled in yoghurt. It's a small detail that makes the gift so much more thoughtful. And remember how I said the chutney gets better with age. It's best to let it mature for a few weeks before you eat it, as the flavours will mellow and deepen and the spices will progress. This makes it the perfect make-ahead Christmas gift. You can get them all done weeks in advance and they'll be at their absolute best right on time for the holidays. And there you have it, from a frozen bag of fruit, a handful of pantry staples and a little bit of time, we've created these beautiful, delicious and heartfelt Christmas gifts. Just look at them, the deep rupee red of the grape jam and the dark mysterious purple of the spiced plum chutney. Each jar is filled with so much more than just fruit. It's filled with the warmth of summer, the coziness of a winter kitchen and the joy of making something with your own hands. I think it's time for a taste test. I've got some crusty bread here and a little bit of cheese. First, the chutney. Oh wow, that's just incredible. It's sweet, tangy and has the lovely warmth from the spices. It'll soon progress further too, which is exciting. It's Christmas on a cracker. Now for the jam. Oh, so bright, so fresh. It just tastes purely of grapes. That's amazing. Giving a gift like this is giving something you just can't buy in a store. The quality of our ingredients cannot be beaten. It's a unique and personal way to show you care. I really hope this has inspired you to look into your own freezer or at your local market and see the potential for creating your own beautiful edible gifts this holiday season. Thank you so much for joining me in the kitchen today. What are your favourite homemade gifts to give or receive during the holidays? I would absolutely love to hear your ideas and traditions in the comments below. And if you want to see some more recipes and ideas from my kitchen garden, please subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss a thing. Happy preserving, and soon it'll be happy holidays.